So to finish out the navigation topics in this module, we just need to add a new view and view model to handle adding and editing. And since the two will involve the same data entry fields, we can combine them into a single view and view model that has a mode to it that switches between add mode and edit mode. So the first step is to define a new add edit customer view and view model, and they're part of the customer's feature set, so we'll drop them right in here. And the view will just be another user control. Now we need to put in place some way to navigate to this view for add mode and edit mode, and that'll involve putting some command buttons onto our customer's list view. Let's drop into that view, and I'm going to expand the containing grid here a little bit. So our root grid now has 2 rows to it. The top one will auto-size based on its content, and we've added some content to that first row that is a button that invokes an add customer command in our view model. Now for the edit, we want to use the context of a given row within the grid that is a single customer. So we'll just go down here and add another templated column similar to the place order command one. So this one, similar to the place order command, uses a relative source binding to get up to the data grid, uses the data context property of that data grid to get to the view model, and then to the edit customer command that we'll be adding shortly. So we need to go add an edit customer command and an add customer command to the customer list view model. For that, by now, you should be getting used to the pattern. First, we define the property on our view model that exposes that command. Add command takes no arguments. Edit command takes the customer object for the row the button was clicked in. Then we go to the constructor for our view model and construct the command object, pointing it to a handling method, and then we go stub out those handling methods. Now, just like with place order, we need to cause navigation to occur from down inside the child view model. So the pattern we established is to raise an event to our parent view model. So we'll need 2 more events for that. So we add these 2 events, each of which will pass a customer, and now we just need to fire those from the command handlers below. For add customer, we'll just fire the event and pass in a new customer object, setting its ID to a new GUID. And for edit customer, we'll just fire the event passing in the customer that was passed to us through the command. So now we just have to go up to the parent view model level and do the event handling and navigation. So first we'll need an instance of that new child view model that we're going to navigate to. We can then subscribe to its events in the constructor of the view model, like we did for place order. And now we just need to implement those handling methods. So I'll drop to the bottom of the class and add the 2 handling methods, each of which takes in a customer. And what we expect to do here is set a flag on the add edit view model to tell it whether it's in edit mode or not. Then we need some way to pass that customer context down into the view model. And I'm doing that with an imperative call to a method, which I'll explain more when we get to that view model. And then finally, we set the current view model property so that it becomes the current view in the root container. Now for that all to work, obviously we have to go implement the property, the method, and make it so that add edit view model is a bindable base object because that's the type of current view model. So we'll drop over here to add edit customer view model, add the bindable base class, define our edit mode as a Boolean property that we can set, define a set customer method that takes in a customer and hold on to that customer for the span of the editing context. Now, if we were going to just bind to this customer directly and let the editing happen directly against it, we could have just set a property. But as we'll see in the next module, you may not always want to directly edit your model objects. You may need to wrap them in some scenarios. So in that case, we can pass this customer down in here and produce a wrapped object for it. But we'll see that in the next module. For now, we just need one more thing to get this view lit up. For one thing, we need to put something in the view so that we can see when it's actually on screen for now. And then we need to go up to the main window and add another data template to map the add edit customer view model to its corresponding view so it can be rendered out. With all that in place, we can fire this up. We can go to customers, click on edit for a customer, and see that we end up at the add edit customer view. And likewise, we can click on add customer up here and end up the same place. Now this may seem like a lot of ceremony to you, having to define a command that gets dispatched down into this view model, then this view model raises an event to the parent view model, the parent view model handles that event and causes the navigation. But the point is to keep each of these parts loosely coupled from the other ones. We have all the navigation logic centralized in the main window view model. It just handles its part of the interaction, which is to manage the customer list and events surrounding it. Now, there's certainly other ways to go about this. You could have a client service that manages navigation for a given container or a set of containers. If you use a framework, which we'll talk about later, like Prism, you could do something like region navigation. But this approach is simple and straightforward, and you can see it only takes moments to stub each particular navigation out. So in the next module, we'll finish fleshing out the Add Edit view, and in the process of doing so, we'll touch on a number of other concepts, including wrapping model objects, using the Visual Studio Designer to scaffold out data entry views, doing validation on your editable objects, and doing dependency injection for your view models.